ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So let's know a little bit about the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. What is the meaning of a Goswami? Does anyone know what do you mean by Go and Swami? Go means what?
Indriya, senses.
Yeah, goes are Indriyas. And Sarvani Mataji, what do you mean by Goswami?
Mataji, conqueror of senses.
Yeah, somebody who could conquer his senses. And the opposite is Godas, right? Someone who could not control the senses are called Godas, and Goswami is someone who controlled his senses. So these are 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Not everyone knows about him, but you should know because our parampara really starts from them. So you should know after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's actually the 6 Goswamis who took the Vaishnava culture forward. And we should know more about them in the Acharya sections. Shri Shad Goswami Ashtaga by Srinivasacharya. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Para Premamritambo Nidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priyakara Nirmatsara Pujita Shri Chaitanya Kripavaro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bhavarahantarako Vande Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalaka Nana Shastra Vichara Raika Nipuna Sadharma Samstavaka Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalako Shri Gauranga Gunanu Vido Shraddha Samriddhanvito Papotapanikinnato Tanubridam Govinda Ganamrite Anandambudhivartanaika Nipuna Kaivalya Nishtaraka Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalaka Tyaktva Turnamyashesha Mandalapati Shrinim Sada Tuchchavat Bhutva Dina Ganesha Kau Karunaya Kaupina Kamtashrito Gopi Bhavara Samridati Lahari Kallola Magnau Moho Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalako Kuchat Kokila Hamsa Sarasagana Kirne Mayura Kule Nana Ratna Nibaddha Moola Vitapa Shri Yukta Vrindavane Radha Krishna Maharnisha Pravasadaho Jivartadavya Mudha Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalako Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananatipi Kalavasani Krito Nitrahara Vihara Kati Vichito Chaitanya Dina Chayo Radha Krishna Guna Smridhir Madhurima Nandena Sammohito Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Shri Jiva Gopalako Radha Kunda Tade Kalinda Tanaya तीरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमोन्मादव सप्तशेषदशया ग्रष्टौ प्रमत्तौ सदा गायन्तौ च कदा हरे गुणवरम् भावाद्भितौ मुहुडा वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुयुगा श्रीजीव गोपालको हेराते व्रजते विकेच ललिते हे नन्दसूनो कुता श्रीगोवर्धन कल्पपादपतले काळिन्दिवने कुता गोष्ठन्तौ इति सर्वतो व्रजपुरे केतैर्महाविह्वलो वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुयुगो श्रीजीव गोपालको. This is Shadvi Goswami Ashtaka by Srinivasa Acharya. So he is offering his respectful obeisance to the 6 Goswamis like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, all of them. And he says that they are engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are like the ocean of love of God, and they're popular both with gentle and with refrains, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they're all pleasing to everyone, and they're fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. They are engaged in the missionary activities to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. And again, they scrupulously study the various scriptures, and the aim is to establish eternal religious principles for the benefit of human beings. And they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the moods of gopis and engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Then the 6 Goswamis are very much enriched in understanding Lord Chaitanya, who are thus expert in narrating his transcendental qualities. They can purify all the conditioned souls from the reaction of their sinful activities by pouring them transcendental song about Govinda. They are very expert in increasing the limits of oceans of transcendental bliss. They are the saviors of the living entities from the devouring mouth of liberation. And also they deliver the poor conditioned soul, and they accept loin clothes, the cowpeen, and treating themselves as mendicants, but they are always merged in the ecstatic ocean of the gopis' love for Krishna, bathe always repeatedly in the waves of that ocean. And they are the one who is actually engaged in worshipping Radha Krishna in the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where there are beautiful trees full of fruits and flowers, which have under their roots all valuable jewels. The Goswami is perfectly competent to bestow upon the living entities the greatest boon of the goal of life. And they're always chanting the holy name of the Lord and bowing down in a scheduled measurement. They always chant the holy name in a measurement and also bow down, pay obeisances. In this way, they utilize their valuable lives in executing devotional activities, and they conquered over eating and sleeping, and were always meek and humble, enchanted by remembering the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And also, it is said these Goswamis are seen on the bank of Radhakund Lake or the shore of Yamuna, sometimes at Vamshivat, and they appear like madmen, full of ecstasy for love of Krishna, exhibiting different transcendental symptoms in their body, and they are merged in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. And also it is said, they are asking, O Queen of Vrindavan, Radharani, O Lalite, O son of Nanda Maharaj, where are you all now? Oh, are you just on the hills of Govardhan, or are you under the trees on the bank of Yamuna? Where are you? These were the mood in executing Krishna consciousness. So Goswamis are nobody, but they were all great devotees who have actually conquered their senses. As Mataji said, Goswami means who have become the master of their senses. And they used to live, like a simple life, very simple life. They used to live under a tree every day. They used to change the trees. Why? Because if they start staying only under one tree, then they get attached to that tree. You make nice, you hang some things on the tree, and then that you feel like the tree is yours, but they want to be detached, completely detached, so detached that they change the tree every day where they sleep. And you can just see just one cowpeen on a small cloth, and then you have this where they do the madhukari or drink water, and there's always chanting the holy name, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So let's start with Rupa Goswami, who is the pioneer. He's actually the younger brother of Sanatana Goswami. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, even though born as Brahmin families and Brahmanas, they were taken by the Muslim ruler Hussain Shah. Because Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were so knowledgeable. They knew Sanskrit, they knew Arabic, and so many languages that the Mughal emperor, he actually threatened them that if you're not going to work under my government, then I'm going to kill all the Brahmanas, I'm going to kill all the cows, or I won't allow anybody to practice religion and Sanatana Dharma. So scaring that, for that they became under the rule of Hussain Shah, and they became Sakar Malik and the Birkas. So they got converted to Muslims, and they just started doing their service. But they secretly, they were chanting the holy name and they were practicing devotional service. So it's Rupa Goswami who's the younger brother, but then it's Rupa Goswami who actually went to Vrindavan first. So that's why we study about Rupa Goswami first. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, it says, Mathura Pate Patela Rupa Sanatana Dui Shena Pati Kaile Bhakti Pracharana. Lord Chaitanya dispatched the two generals, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, to Vrindavan to preach the Bhakti cult. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually sent the two brothers to Vrindavan so that they can preach the Bhakti cult. They were so rich, but they renounced everything. They left everything and went to Vrindavan. And also it is said about Sri Rupa Pranama. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mahyam Tadati Swapatantikam. So this we tell as a part of Mangalacharan, and it is actually glorifying Rupa Goswami. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who have established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So why is Rupa Goswami also called as Prabhupada? We also have Prabhupada, no? Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So what do you mean by Prabhupada? Does anyone know? It's the meaning of Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Miss Arbani Mataji.
Lotus feet, Mataji.
Yes. So lotus, Shubham Patel Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhupada means who is serving Lord's lotus feet always.
Somebody serving the Lord's lotus feet or having a position.
Yeah, that we can say is that in some position. Yeah.
So that means the spiritual masters are actually representative of Krishna. So they are representative of Krishna and they serve Krishna definitely. So they represent Krishna. So Prabhu means God and Pada is the same position actually. Position. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada is a term actually that is used for someone who serves Krishna's lotus feet or someone who is representing the Lord. So that's why. So here it is called Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, and this is Pranam Mantra. There is also another Pranam Mantra which says Priya Swarupe, Daida Swarupe, Prema Swarupe, Sahaja Virupe, Nijana Rupe, Prapurega Rupe, Tadana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. So it's about Rupa Goswami. So actually Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami belonged to the Bharadwaja Gotra, and which indicates that they belonged either to the family or disciplic succession of Bharadwaja Muni. And Sri Anupam, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were actually brothers. Anupam, Rupa and Sanatana. So Rupa Goswami, after meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, resigned from his government service and went to Vrindavan to meet Lord Chaitanya, and Vallabha accompanied him. So this is what. So Rupa Goswami actually met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Dashashwamedha Ghat in Prayag. And after that, once he met the second time, he chanted this verse. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayade Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradishe Nama. So he's the one who actually compiled this verse, and which we chant while offering bhog to the Lord. So he is the one who actually chanted. And when the second time when he met, he actually had a straw in his mouth and he completely surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu kept his lotus feet on Rupa Goswami's head, saying that soon you will get Krishna, love of Krishna. And Rupa Goswami resigned his job because I told you they were working under the minister rule of Nawab Hussain Shah. He resigned, and 50% of income he gave it to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and 25% he gave to his family, relatives, 25% he kept for him. And so that he was doing. And after that, what he did is went to Vrindavan, and before that, going to Vrindavan, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the drop of bhakti, a bija, or in the sense a bindu, a dot of Bhakti, and he developed it as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So first when they went to Madura, where they met a gentleman named Subudhi Raya, who maintained himself by selling dry fuel wood. He was very pleased to meet Rupa Goswami and Anupam, and he showed them the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Thus they lived in Vrindavan for 1 month and again went to search of Sanatana Goswami. So his brother wanted to come. So first Rupa Goswami went to Vrindavan, and after that Sanatana Goswami reached. Following the course of Ganges, they reached Allahabad or Prayag Tirtha. But because Sanatana Goswami had come there by a different road, they did not meet him there. And when Sanatana Goswami came to Madura, he was informed of the visit of Rupa Goswami and Anupam by Subudhi Rai. When Rupa Goswami and Anupam met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Banaras, they heard about Sanatana Goswami's travel from him. Thus, they returned to Bengal, adjusted their affairs with the state, and on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. So Rupa Goswami, when he resigned, he actually gave up all his family connections and divided the wealth. 50% he gave for the service of Krishna and Vaishnavas. That's what I was saying. He gave to Krishna conscious movement. And 25% he kept for his family members and 25% for emergencies. Like later he was using it for Sanatana Goswami's escape. So what happened? Rupa Goswami resigned the job, and his wealth was divided like this. Then what happened? His brother, elder brother, also started to resign. Nawab Hussain Shah won't allow Sanatana Goswami to resign because he saw him as a brother and he wanted Sanatana Goswami to stay. Because of him, the ruling was going so well. So Sanatana Goswami took a long leave. Sometimes we take like long leave, and he said, "I'm sick." So his brother. So he said he's sick, but he's not actually sick. Every day he used to have Bhagavad Katha at his home. So many Vaishnavas used to come and he used to have a Bhagavad Katha. So Nawab Hussain Shah got a doubt. Sanatana Goswami is not well so many days. So he sent a physician to check whether his illness is gone. So the physician came back and said, "No, Sanatana Goswami is all right. He didn't seem to be sick." So Nawab Hussain Shah personally came to Sanatana Goswami's house and saw Bhagavad Saptah happening. Katha happening. So he was so angry that he ordered Sanatana Goswami to be jailed. So he was in the jail. Rupa Goswami's brother was in the jail. So when he was in jail, he could not escape. So what happened? Rupa Goswami had 25% of his wealth for himself, for emergency. So he gave that, he sent it to Sanatana Goswami and bribed the jail keeper. So bribed in the sense, gave him some gold coins and asked him to open the jail so that he can escape. So Sanatana Goswami finally escaped to Vrindavan. Okay, that's how it was used. And Sanatana Goswami could come out of the jail. He met Haridas Thakur. Rupa Goswami met Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, where also he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and with his associates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to praise the handwriting of Rupa Goswami. It was so good. And Rupa Goswami could compose verses according to the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by his direction, he wrote 2 more books, namely Lalita Madhava and Vidakta Madhava. Okay, so he was writing. So one of the verse, what happened is, once when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Rupa Goswami's house, on the hut, that on the top, there was something written on the leaf. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it, it was like Krishna saying this to Radharani, saying this to Krishna, that when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura, then later on to Dwaraka, married his queens and all, and then he could meet the Vrajavasis after so many years. When the gopis and when Radharani met Krishna at that time, Krishna was completely different in the sense he was a kind of a king. He had this crown and he was completely dressed up different. Right? But in Vrindavan, he has a turban, a peacock feather, a flute, and dressed like a gopa. But there, and without slippers, but outside Vrindavan, he was looking very official. So Radharani said, it's the same people, it's the same you, it's the same me, but I'm not feeling that happiness which I felt when I was in Vrindavan. That was that verse. That's the summary of that verse. Because what Radharani meant is, Krishna is completely different here. Krishna is the same, but then his bhav is different. It's more of Aishwarya bhav outside Vrindavan, but in Braja, it's Madhurya ras, pure Madhurya ras, right? So this was the verse. And then when Rupa Goswami came back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like, how did you write this? I mean, how did you understand my mind? So it's actually his mercy, what happened. So Lord Chaitanya actually desired the 2 brothers, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to publish many books to support Vaishnava religion. So Sri Rupa Goswami is described as Bhakti Rasacharya, or one who knows the essence of devotional service. So Prabhupada says, you all have to read Krishna book, which represents Krishna, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion, which represents Radharani. If these two books, actually, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is only for devotees. How many of you have read it? At least little bit, not the whole book, at least little from NOD. Nectar of Devotion, nobody read. That's a sweet book you can ever read. Lipsa Mataji have read. It's very nice book. I recommend all of you to read. And Vidhi Mataji, you have to read this book because that's the essence of bhakti, and everything mentioned in, so 3-4 of them. One more in the chat. Okay, so everything mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is for us, for the practicing devotees, for sadhana bhaktas, how to improve your devotional service. It's a very nice book. Only a devotee can understand that book. You can't give it to non-devotees. So that's why when you distribute books, you don't give Nectar of Devotion to everyone. That is a book which the devotee goes and inquires and gets it. I could not get a copy for a long time. Somehow it was not coming. I didn't deserve it. I was not qualified to get it. But later on in the Mayapur Dham, I could get it. And it's so glorious to read Nectar of Devotion. So please, even in Veda base, you can all start reading Nectar of Devotion. It's a great book. Sri Rupa Goswami is described as Bhakti Rasacharya because of that book. And Gaudiya Vaishnavas are known as Rupa Anugas. We are known as Rupa Anugas. Rupa means Rupa Goswami, and Anugas are followers. So we are followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. Here you can see in this picture that Rupa Goswami is surrendering to Lord Chaitanya with a straw in his mouth and completely surrendering. Sri Narottam Das Thakur sings, Shri Rupa Manchari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, Se Mora Bhajana Pujana. The feet of Sri Rupa Manchari, Rupa Goswami's eternal form as Sri Radharani's maidservant in Braja, are only my wealth. They are the only object of my service and worship. So Rupa Goswami is the eternal form of Radharani's maidservant in Braja. So just imagine how glorious is our parampara, because we are Rupanugas, right? Yeah, so Rupa Goswami wanted to make kheer for Sanatana Goswami. So what happened one day? Yeah, kheer means the sweet rice which you make with milk and rice and sugar and everything. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami is kind of completely detached. You can see they live under a tree every day and they change the tree. They just have some, they do some madhukari. They just beg from house to house, and whatever you get. Madhu means what, and madhukari means what? Madhu, what is the meaning of madhu? Any idea? Why is it called madhukari? Or madhukari means they don't, the sannyasis or these great devotees where they do bhajan, they do devotional service, they don't cook. They just go from one house, get some, might be some roti or some dal, rice, and from some, and then they eat. So they don't actually cook. Madhu means, yes, nectar, the honeybee. What does a honeybee does? It just goes from one flower to the another flower and collects the honey. Doesn't sit in one flower itself and just take everything. No, so it just goes from one flower to another and collect money or nectar. Yes, so madhukari. Similarly, these sadhus, they don't go from one house. Only in one house. They go from house to house and collect little bit of whatever they give, some roti or whatever it is, and then they eat. That's how they lived. So they don't have anything. He don't have any groceries, nothing. But he had a desire to make kheer for his brother, Sanatana Goswami. So Rupa Goswami was busy writing and he was thinking, how will I make kheer? I don't have anyone. So he saw a young girl coming with all these ingredients. And she told, this is for you. You can cook whatever you want. So Rupa Goswami is like, I'm really busy writing the books. Now what should I do? So the girl said, I will myself cook. So she started cooking. She boiled the milk, put the rice into it, and then sugar. And then she somehow made a nice kheer. And she offered to the Lord and gave it to Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami informed his brother Sanatana Goswami, and he came, and when he started having the kheer, he was in ecstasy. He never have tasted such a kheer in his life, and he's like, this is ecstasy, this is like love of God. Who gave it? And it was actually, who was that girl who came? Any idea? Yes, Minal Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. It was Radharani.
Yeah, it was Radharani herself who came to serve the Goswamis, in the sense, because Goswamis are maid servants, right? And Sanatana Goswami is like, how can you do this, Rupa? You have taken service from Radharani herself. We are supposed to serve Radharani, and you have taken service from Radharani. This is not good. And then Rupa Goswami then realized, oh, that was in fact Radharani. So that means Radharani was personally taking care of Rupa Goswami's needs. So this is what. So when Radharani herself delivered the goods, that Sanatana Goswami forbade Rupa Goswami to desire like that again. Don't do this, he said. And Govinda Deva discovered a site where a cow pours milk every day. So what happened? Sometimes there was a cow used to come onto the hills of Govardhan, and he used to shed milk on a one particular place. And later on, Rupa Goswami got a dream that the Lord is inside, and when we dig that place, we could get a beautiful deity of Govinda. And he installed Radha Govinda in Vrindavan. On another occasion, the Goswamis were having a discussion about the ecstatic feeling of separation of Radha Krishna and their associates, and Rupa Goswami began to breathe very heavily. His heart felt as though it was burning, and at one point, he sighed, his breath happened to fall on the body of one devotee present there, and shortly thereafter, a boil developed on the devotee's body where Sri Rupa's breath had touched it. So these are all the ecstatic symptoms which they had. So actually, after that, what happens? When Rupa Goswami was chanting the holy name, and he was meditating on the pastimes of Radha Krishna, and he was just seeing the funny pastimes, and he laughed loudly. But he was actually seeing the pastimes, meditating, and he was doing japa. So at that time, a lame man, somebody who can't walk, just passed by, and that person thought, "Oh, Rupa Goswami is insulting me, or he's smiling, laughing because I'm not able to walk well." So he felt so offended. He was a Vaishnava, and he felt so bad. So what happened? Immediately, once he took that offense, immediately Rupa Goswami could not see the pastime anymore. So he was very sad, upset, and he asked his brother Sanatana Goswami, "What should I do? What did I do?" So Sanatana Goswami said, "Some aparadh have happened. You call all the Vaishnavas in that place and give them a big feast tomorrow." So he called everyone, and Sanatana Goswami said, "Whoever you offended will not come." So there was a one person who didn't come. That was this person who could not walk properly. So Rupa Goswami understood that somehow I offended him, went and fell at his lotus feet and asked for forgiveness. And then, because he said, "It's not because of you I laughed, I was seeing the pastime." Once he asked for forgiveness from a Vaishnava, then he could see the pastimes again. So that's Vaishnava Aparadh, which he did. Oh, Meenakshi Mataji, can you check the attendance form? Why is it coming like that? It's like it's already filled up something, already responded.
Just checking.
Yeah, just keep checking. Yeah. Just check and let me know. So these are the books which Rupa Goswami have written. So in this, there are so many books like Radha Krishna Gunadesha Deepika and Lalita Madhava. Okay, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is the one which Prabhupada have translated. One can understand the essence of devotional service to Krishna and the transcendental mellows one can derive from such service, called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Can someone identify this place on the right side? I'll give a clue. This is in Vrindavan. Any idea? This place. Yes. Any idea? Nobody knows? One more clue. This is in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. This one. And behind this, you can see it's Prabhupada's house. Yes, Shubham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, is it Rupa Goswami's Odiya or Samadhi, something like that?
Samadhi. Yes, very good. That's Rupa Goswami Samadhi Mandir, and the Bhajan Kutir is just the opposite of it. Now it's completely developed. Yeah, Sumit Prabhu. There's a Samadhi. Now here you have all these constructions happening. So this is the place where Rupa Goswami Samadhi happened, and behind this you can see here is Prabhupada's room and Prabhupada's kitchen, from where Prabhupada used to have his prasad, and he could open the window and see Rupa Goswami Samadhi. We should all visit this place. It's ecstasy to be there. When we went, it was like Kartik month, and so much kirtan was happening there, and sitting and chanting there. It's real ecstasy to go there. At least once in a life, you have to go and visit these places of the great acharyas. And also you can see in the Samadhi Mandir, they have these beads, Japa beads of Rupa Goswami. You'll be shocked to see that's a big beads of 108 beads where he chanted the Japa. Okay. Yeah, now can you all start filling the form? Maybe now it's working. Okay, so these are the different books which he wrote. Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Mathura Mahima, Vidyavali. So the temple he constructed was Radha Govindaji. I told you the cow was shedding milk and he digged and he got it. So in Gaura Gano the Deepika 180, the Sri Rupa Goswami is described to be the gopi named Sri Rupa Manjari. So he's a Manjari called Rupa Manjari. Okay. Then we'll just see about Sanatana Goswami also today. This is elder brother, Sanatana Goswami. So he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramakeli first, and he forced to submit to the ruling of the Muslim government. I told you, Nawab Hussain Shah. And Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami became the ministers, Dhabir Kas and Sakar Malik, and they lived at Ramakeli. After the Lord visited Ramakeli and freed them, they renounced everything for Lord Gauranga's service. So he took a leave. Okay. Meenakshi Mataji, somehow it's not working. I don't know, everyone, nobody could fill. So Sanatan escapes from prison. This is what I told, how he escaped. So when Sri Sanatana Goswami was imprisoned by Nawab Hussain Shah, he received a news from Rupa Goswami that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Mathura. So Sanatana Goswami thereafter satisfied the superintendent of the jail by sweet salt and bribery. So he started bribing with the money which Rupa Goswami has sent him. So then the jailer is like, so he gave him, the jailer, the 7,000 gold coins, and Sanatana Goswami was released. But then the jailer is like, no, the Nawab Hussain Shah will kill me. What to do? So Sanatana Goswami said, you say one story that when I went to pass tools and then I took bath in Ganges, that time I escaped. You tell like that. No, normally when they take bath, even if he's in the jail, he's in the open place like Ganges River, and then I escaped. So you just tell a trick like that. And he gave him 7,000 gold coins, which Rupa Goswami had got from Nawab Hussain Shah. He gave it to the to the jailer of Nawab Hussain Shah and got released. And then he went through the forest, different areas of the forest, and then he crossed Ganges and fled to Vrindavan, because he was desperate to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes devotees also does this, that when Sanatana Goswami took a long leave and was sitting in a home and having Bhagavad Katha, sometimes devotees, they give a leave letter to the office, and might be Janmashtami and Radhashtami. So they say they are sick, but they'll be dancing in ecstasy in the temple. So that normally happens. So this, like, we are following Sanatana Goswami there. And later on, Sanatana Goswami crossed the whole forest and reached Vrindavan. So one of his servants, actually, when he was going, Ishana, followed him carrying 8 gold coins. So then what happened? Sanatana Goswami and his servant then spent the night in a small hotel on the way to Banaras. And the hotel owner knew that Sanatana Goswami and the servant had 8 gold coins, and so he decided to kill them and take the money. But then, making plans in this way, the hotel owner received them as the honorable guest. But Sanatana Goswami understood this, and he, however, asked his servant how much money he had, and taken 7 gold coins. He gave it to the hotel owner. And then the owner helped him cross the hill track and proceed towards Varanasi. So that time they were having 8 gold coins. 7 he gave to the hotel owner, and 1 he gave to the personal servant and tell him to leave. So he left, and because then the hotel owner was not receiving it. He's like, no, I can't take these gold coins. So Sanatana Goswami said, if you don't take, someone else will kill me and take. So please take it from me, and I need just one help. Show me a way to go to Vrindavan. So he is the one who actually helped him to go through the forest. Okay. And then what happened? Sanatana meets the Lord in Banaras. Sanatana Goswami finally arrived at Varanasi and stood before the door of Chandrasekharacharya. Okay, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him in and ordered him to change his dress so that he would look like a gentleman. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the house of Chandrasekharacharya, and he was inside. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Chandrasekharacharya, just go outside, there is a great Vaishnava there. And when Chandrasekharacharya came out, he could not see any Vaishnava. He just saw somebody like a beggar with a shawl around, so chadar. So he's like, no, I could not see anyone. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I can see only a beggar with beard and everything. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like, oh, that's my Sanatan. And he came running outside and hugged him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in Radharani's mood. And Sanatana Goswami is Radhi Manjari. He's Manjari, right? So there's a connection. And he felt so happy seeing Sanatana Goswami. And he had actually an old cloth of Taman Mishras as a garment. Later, he exchanged his valuable blanket for a torn quilt. So his brother-in-law has given a nice blanket. And Sanatana Goswami said, I renounced everything and I came, my lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staring at the blanket. You renounced everything and you're having a nice blanket around you. So when Sanatana Goswami went to take bath, he saw a washerman washing his torn blanket. So Sanatana Goswami is like, can you exchange the blanket for me? So he gave the good blanket to the washerman and took an old one. And then Chaitanya went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like, now you have renounced everything. So he accepted him as his disciple. And then Lord gave the teachings to Sanatana Goswami. That's given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, and Sanatana Goswami also surrendered like Rupa Goswami. Sri Sanatana Goswami received knowledge of the absolute truth from the Lord himself. First, they discussed the constitutional position of the living entity, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami how the living entity is one of Lord's energy. After this, the Lord explained the way of devotional service to Sanatana Goswami. While discussing the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the Lord analyzed Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the three aspects, as well as expansions of Lord Swayam Rupa, Tadegatam, and Avesha, which were divided into various branches known as Vibhava and Prabhava. Thus, the Lord described many forms of the Supreme Personality of God. He also described the incarnations of God within this material world, like Purusha Avatar, Manvantara Avatar, Guna Avatar, Shakti Avish Avatar, all that. So, Guna Avatar is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and Purusha Avatar is Karnakshai Vishnu, Shridharshai Vishnu, Garbhadakshai Vishnu, all that. And the Lord also discussed the divisions of Krishna's different ages, like Bali Leela, Paundanga, and different pastimes of different ages. He explained how Krishna attained his permanent form and when he reached the youth. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing with Sanatana Goswami, explained and described everything to Sanatana Goswami, and later on he went to Vrindavan to write his books. Because of fasting, Meenakshi Mataji, you can just take a screenshot of the devotee's name. I don't know why it's not working. Because of fasting and bad weather in Jharkhand forest, Sanatana Goswami, actually he had a skin disease. He had like the body was itching and there was like wound around the body. So he was feeling so bad for that. And Vaishnava etiquette is actually an ornament of devotee. So what happened? Once Sanatana Goswami wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. So instead of going in the shortcut way, he took a long way to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so shocked. Why did you take a long way? In the hot sun, you were walking barefoot in the hot sand. Why did you take a long way? You could have come in the shortcut near the Puri temple, Jagannath Puri temple. So Sanatana Goswami said, how can I do it, Lord? Because I have this disease in my body, all these wound in my body. So if I touch the pandas or the pujaris of Jagannath Puri, then it's like an offense. It's like Vaishnava aparad what I'm doing. So to avoid that, I came in a long route. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased. So one day Sanatana Goswami was summoned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted him to come to Yameshwara Tota. Sanatana Goswami reached the Lord through the path along the beach by the side. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Sanatana Goswami which way he had come, Sanatana replied, many servitors of Lord Jagannath would come and go on the path by the Simhadwara gate of Jagannath temple. Therefore, I did not go by that path. Instead, I took the beach side. Sanatana Goswami did not realize that there were burning blisters on his feet because of the heat of the sand. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear about Sanatana Goswami's great respect for the temple of Lord Sri Jagannath. And also this was an etiquette which he followed, which was an ornament of devotees. Because his disease, he had wet sores on his body, he actually wanted to commit suicide. So Sanatana Goswami used to avoid embracing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the Lord is like, no, only if I embrace you, I'll get purified. So he embraced him by force. And Jagadananda advised him to return to Vrindavan after the car festival of Jagannath. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Jagadananda Pandit. Lord again embraced him, and after this embrace, Sanatana Goswami became free from the disease. The Lord ordered Sanatana Goswami to stay with him for that year. And next year, after seeing the Ratha Yatra, he left to Kurukshetram. He left the Kurukshetram Kshetra and returned to Vrindavan. So what happened? So Lord ordered Sanatana. So what happened? Sanatana Goswami is like, with the skin disease, how will I live? So I want to do suicide. And the way he found to do suicide was to jump in the front of the Ratha. He wanted to just jump in front of the Ratha. So Ratha just come. Okay, so Radha just come and then he can die. So that's what he thought. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Krishna is Paramatma in everyone's heart. He understood this and he said, Sanatan, you are trying to destroy the body. I mean, which is mine, which is my property. This body doesn't belong to us. In Bhagavatam, it explains the body doesn't belong to the parents who gave birth to it. Body doesn't belong to vultures who will eat it. Body doesn't belong to the earth when it's buried and gone, or body doesn't belong to the fire which is being burned. Body doesn't belong to the microorganisms or worms. Body really belongs to Krishna, right? He is Aham Bija Pradapita. The material nature gives the body, but under his direction. So Sanatana Goswami wanted to commit suicide, ending the body because he had this disease of the skin. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like, you are doing, what are you doing? You're stealing my property. Your body is my property, so don't do it. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hacked Sanatana Goswami, his skin disease went away. There's some other more pastimes. One day, Madan Gopal refused to eat, complaining there weren't salt in the chapatis. And Sanatan replied, today it's salt, tomorrow it will be ghee, but I'm sorry. I don't have time or inclinations to chase around after rich men requesting special item for them. So once what happened, Sanatana Goswami was going in Vrindavan and he saw the Madan Mohan temple. Okay. Have you gone to Vrindavan? You see the Radha Madan Mohan temple near the Yamuna. So when you go for Vrindavan Parikrama, there is Yamuna on the left side and you need to climb steps, or it's like a steep hill. On top of the hill, you can see Radha Madan Mohan temple. And it was worshipped by a pujari. But later on, Krishna appeared in the dream of the pujari and said, give me to Sanatana Goswami to worship. And Sanatana Goswami saw a black boy running and he chased the boy because he was so attractive. And finally, he reached the Radha Madan Mohan temple inside. And then he understood that the pujari was waiting for Sanatana Goswami to come. And then when you take care of the Lord, what you should do? You should offer nice bhog. But Sanatana Goswami was doing madhukari. So he used to get some dry chickpeas or might be a bread or a roti. And he used to offer just like that to Madan Mohan without even salt. So Madan Mohan is like, you're not giving me even salt. At least give me some salt. That means Lord was speaking to Sanatana Goswami. And so he's like, today it's salt, tomorrow he'll ask ghee. I can't do this. So that's a really, we can't do that with the Lord, but we are conditioned soul. But then Sanatana Goswami is Radhi Manjari. So they were having that conversation. And Prabhupada used to have conversations with the deities. You know, when he goes to any temple, he will ask, how are you? Are you feeling good? Are these people feeding you well? Are they taking care of you nicely? And then Krishna used to reciprocate. Krishna used to tell Prabhupada. So he could reciprocate with the Lord. And also sometimes he says, just stay here, just hold on here. I'll give you a nice temple. So he used to have a conversation with the Lord. Madan Mohan is the son of Maharaj. Seeing that he is simply eating dry chapatis, Sanatan felt very bad. Then later on, a wealthy man came to Madura to engage in trade and business. And his boat was stuck on the sandbar. He could not manage to free it and asked Sanatana Goswami's mercy, who in turn sent him to Madan Mohan. And there was heavy rain which freed the boat. So he sold all the goods, made money, and with that he constructed the Radha Madan Mohan temple. So there was a boatman who came and he could not take his boat. And he said to Sanatana Goswami, please help me. Sanatana Goswami sent him to Radha Madan Mohan. And Lord actually made that boat free. And what did the boatman do? So he used his money to build a big temple. Even now, if you go, there's a nice tomb and a nice temple built for Radha Madan Mohan. Here in this picture, can you see Krishna is personally taking the offering from Sanatana Goswami's hand and eating because so pure they were. And Sri Rupa Goswami was composing some hymns in praise of Srimati Radharani, collectively known as Chatu Pushpanjali. The braids of Radharani's hair appeared very beautiful, like the hooves of a snake. Sanatana Goswami reflected, is that a proper comparison? Hood of a poisonous snake? At noon, Sanatana Goswami noticed some cowherd girls playing under the shade of a large tree, and it appeared as a black snake hanging from the tree was about to wrap itself around the neck and shoulders of one of the cowherd girls. Sensing some danger, he called out to her and immediately took off, running to save them from the impending danger. Seeing him approaching them, Srimati Radharani and her friends began to laugh. Thus they disappeared. So Sanatana was completely stunned, but then gradually they understood, and understanding came to him that Sri Rupa's comparison was appropriate. So Rupa Goswami has compared Radharani's hair to the hood of the snake, like that. But then later on, Sanatana Goswami saw the pastime. So normally what happens, they have written, Sanatana Goswami have written Brihad Bhagavatamrita, like more detail than the normal Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Vyasadeva. So both are same, but then Sanatana Goswami used to go and meditate on different pastimes, places, and he'll get all the pastimes that is there. So this is the books he have written. So Brihad Bhagavatamrita. One can understand who is a devotee, what is the process of devotional service, and who is Krishna and absolute truth from this book. And also Hari Bhakti Vilas. Don't jump to read these books. These are all highly, highly elevated books which we can't even think of. Try to read Prabhupada's book first, and 6 times. Namanisha Prabhu says, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and all the books of Srila Prabhupada, if you read 6 times, then you go to the Goswami books. Otherwise, don't jump, because we can't understand it. Because the level of understanding Goswami books is so high, and we are not in that position yet. Okay, once you understand the whole philosophy and about Radha Krishna and everything, then you can read Goswami books. Otherwise, don't jump to it. So Hari Bhakti Vilas is a like PhD book, double PhD book, and from which we can understand the standard behavior of a devotee and the full extent of a Vaishnava's duty. So Hari Bhakti Vilas was originally compiled by Sanatana Goswami. Later, Gopal Bhatt Goswami produced a short version of this. And also Leela Sattva Vaishnava Toshni, also this commentary of the 10th canto, also was written by Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami compiled many books describing how the principal deities of Vrindavan, Govinda and Madana Gopal. Okay, so Sanatana's service to the Lord was, Sanatana Goswami established the Sambandha Avideya Prayojana. Sambandha means our relationship with Krishna. Avideya is the process, that is devotional service, and Prayojana is the goal, Krishna Prema. And he explained Vaishnava Achar, and also he established the worship of deities in different places, all the Vidhi Marg, Raga Marg, Prema Seva. And also he revealed the hidden tirthas, Radha Gun, Shyam Kund and all, to expand the process of Yukta Vairagya. He distributed the teachings of Vaishnava activities. He established the Madan Mohan, the first deity in Vrindavan area, the temple. By his personal behavior, he taught how to act in a reverenced order, completely devoted to the service of the Lord. By his personal example, he also told how to stay in Vrindavan and execute devotional service. So Sanatana Goswami, although belonged to the Brahmin family, he was exceptionally, his humility and meekness. And then what happened? Because they were converted to Muslims, like he became Sakhar Malik and Dabir Kas, they were not allowed inside the Jagannath Puri temple. They used to just see the chakra, and the Lord Jagannath himself, as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, used to come outside and meet them. Sanatana Goswami is described in the Gaura Gunadesha Deepika as Radhi Manchari, or sometimes as Lavanga Manchari. So he's also called as Lavanga Manchari or Radhi Manchari. Okay, so we'll done with 2 Goswamis today. It's already 8. So we'll start with Jiva Goswami next class. I think I'll need 3 sessions for it, because so much to explain about the Goswamis. We should understand that we should not neglect the Goswamis. It's very important to understand the Goswamis, because it's through them, we get all these literatures. Yes, Meenakshi Mataji, what happened?
Mataji, the link is working. I think they can put on their attendance, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
For those whoever is not able.
I can't hear you, Mataji.
Now it is audible, Mataji.
Yes.
And whoever is not able to from their browser, there might be some firewall.
Again, your voice is gone.
Yeah, right now it's okay.
What happened?
Is it okay, Mataji?
You having some? I'm never able to hear you most of the times. Can you type in the chat? I'm not able to hear you. Okay, any questions? regarding today's session. So please read about the Goswamis. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you're not able to understand that, at least Prabhupada would have quoted. Nectar of Devotion, you can read. Science of Self-Realization, anybody can read. Yes. Who's this? Meenakshi?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
same.
My
yes.
cousin is, yeah. Is it audible now?
Yes, Mataji, yes.
Those who are not able to do it from their browser, there might be some firewalls and technical glitches. They can try out the link in some other browsing like search engines. Like they might be using Google, so they can use it in different search engines like Mozilla Firefox or something like that. Because
Yeah,
sometimes
now
it doesn't.
Krupa Mataji, Sujata Mataji, they all could fill it in a different browser. Yes.
Yeah. Hare
Okay,
Krishna,
Mataji,
Hare
thank
Krishna.
you. Might be some that is so. Anyone who could not fill the attendance, please fill it in another browser, as Mataji said. Please do it. Okay, so no questions. So it's a Goswami Ashtaka is very important to understand. And also we have this appearance, disappearance of these Goswamis. So those days we can glorify the Goswamis. It's very important to know them actually. When you go to Vrindavan, you see the main Goswami temples, you see their samadhis. Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami Samadhi are in Radha Damodar temple of Vrindavan. And Sanatana Goswami's Samadhi is in Radha Madan Mohan temple, Vrindavan. And Raghunath Das Goswami Samadhi is in Radha Kund in Govardhan. Then, so it's everything is in Vrindavan now. So if you can go visit. Okay. When Srila Prabhupada was staying in the room in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi. Oh, Sumit Prabhu, it's like a small room. You should all go there. A very nice room. And Prabhupada is written like, eternally I reside here. So Radha Damodar temple, it's like when you go to do Vrindavan Parikrama near Yamuna river is going. You have to go a little inside. There is Loi Bazaar and all near to that. And then there's a small temple, Radha Damodar temple, small temple. So the deities are all here. And Prabhupada's room is when Prabhupada initially he took sannyas and he was preparing to go to America. He went to Vrindavan and stayed there for 6 years. So 6 years Prabhupada was just staying in Radha Damodar temple. He's a sannyasi. He got a small room. So it's like a small room to just stay. If you still go now, you can see small bed, a cot, a simple cot, and a small table. Prabhupada used to sit on the floor and write his books, and that's it, nothing else in that room. And the opposite of that room is a small kitchen where he can just cook his roti, dal, sabji, offer to the Lord. And there's a small table on the floor. He sits, keeps his plate, a prasada plate, and the small window where he can see Rupa Goswami Samadhi from there. So Prabhupada lived a very simple life, and he was getting ready to go to America. So he was compiling his Bhagavatam, translating the first 2-3 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, and daily Prabhupada used to attend Mangalarti there, take bath in Yamuna, and did a simple life, went to the market, get sabjis, and sometimes he go to Delhi and sell his Back to Godhead magazine. So it was that room. It's a very small room in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi. Even now the devotees have preserved it, and there is a deity of Prabhupada kept in both his room and kitchen. And if you go there, you can sit and do chanting there. And it's ecstasy. It's beyond explanation, that atmosphere in that room. And Prabhupada was there, and he was just looking at Rupa Goswami Samadhi and asking for mercy. He used to get up at 2 a.m. in the early morning and then sweep Rupa Goswami Samadhi, crying for mercy. And some devotees have seen it. And he was begging for mercy. Please, please bless me so that I can go to America and preach Krishna consciousness. Just because of Rupa Goswami's blessing, Prabhupada have become so successful, and Prabhupada could establish 108 temples, and this ISKCON have become a worldwide recognized institution just because of Rupa Goswami's blessings to Srila Prabhupada, definitely. And even after establishing ISKCON, Prabhupada went back to the same Radha Damodar temple with his foreign disciples, American disciples, and he was sitting there and having conversation. And in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi, Prabhupada translated Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and in front of Rupa Goswami Samadhi, he gave a class in English to his disciples, like the Nectar of Devotion tape. So it is just ecstasy there. Initially, they were not allowed in, and how the samadhis are there. Yeah, they are not allowed in Jagannath Puri temple, Mataji, Minal Mataji. It has, the Jagannath Puri temple have some restrictions. Even now, foreigners are not allowed. Foreigners are not allowed. Some, when we went for the Puri Yatra, some foreigners came with us, and they're white skinned and all. They don't allow that even now. They just have to see the chakra, and also there is the main gate, there is Simhadwar, where they can take darshan of Jagannath. But the real deities of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, the darshan was not given to foreigners, and also the other religion people are not allowed even now. Even now, so Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, even though born as Brahmanas, since they worked under the Muslim ruler, and they got converted, in the sense, because if you come under the Muslim government, you should get converted. So because of that, and even Haridas Thakur, born in a Muslim family, was not allowed inside Jagannath temple. So what is the problem? Lord Jagannath himself has tried. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come daily to Haridas Thakur's hut and give him darshan, personal darshan. And that's why it is said that Jagannath is Jagat Ka Nath. Prabhupada always chastise them. Why are you doing this? Why do you see the external body? We are not this body, we are spirit soul. Why do you discriminate foreigners and Indians? Krishna is for everyone. How can you just say Krishna belongs to only Odiya people or Indians? Krishna belongs to everyone. He's Jagat Ka Nath. Means the whole world can worship him. But nobody could hear Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is a revolutionist. I mean, Hare Krishna was a revolutionary movement, because he could take the Shudras and make them Brahmins. So Prabhupada was just beyond limits. But then Prabhupada gave Jagannath to all over the world. He started the first Radha Yatra in San Francisco and gave Jagannath to worship to all the foreigners. Now almost all the many devotees have Jagannath at home and they worship. So now Jagannath is so merciful now. And it is also said, Lord, even if the devotees don't allow the foreigners, the Lord is so merciful that he comes out in Radha Yatra. When he comes out in Radha Yatra and been pulled and when to go to Gundija temple, all of them can take darshan of the Lord, irrespective of your caste, religion, color, creed, and anything. So initially they were not allowed in Puri, Mataji, not in the other temples. They are allowed in Vrindavan, because they are the one who established Vrindavan. Vrindavan, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and Mahaprabhu ended his pastime, Vrindavan was kind of covered. Nobody could understand where Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, nobody could understand anything there. It's the Goswamis who went there and excavated these pastime places. When they go, they are Manjaris. They were there in the Leela. So they were sitting and meditating in some place. So they know which place is what. And they are the one who actually established the what we see the present Vrindavan. So because they established, and they are allowed in Vrindavan. In Puri they were not allowed, but in Vrindavan they are the one who established the temples. Rupa Goswami established Radha Govindaji temple, and it's Sanatana Goswami who built a temple for Radha Madan Mohan. There was no temple before that, so their samadhi was put near the temple and inside the Radha Govinda temple. Okay, not in Puri. Okay, I think no more questions. Any other questions in the chat? Okay, so I think we can end here. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Meenakshi Mataji. Sorry for the trouble, but I don't know, might be from a different browser it was working. Thank you, Mataji. Panchakalpadrupascha kripasindhave vacha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo padi Vaishravati ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Meenakshi Mataji. Hare Krishna.